Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Friday night Q&A for 3rd of December 2021. What I'll be dealing with is I'll be in the lesson, I'll be reading some stuff out of the history of the Jews. I'll show you the book later on, but I'll be reading out of that. And it's like a witness, second witness to what I was telling you about Daniel 9:25. Okay. It says, like and share and subscribe to Prophets of Awakening channel. Hit the notification button if you can. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, and the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Old Testament. And the Torah was given to Moses on Mount Sinai by the Lord of Hosts. So, with that being said, shalom and welcome everybody. Welcome to Prophets of Awakening. Welcome to our Shabbat, beginning of our Shabbat. And we're going to do our moment of silence, prayer, and Psalms, and then we do a little current event. Okay, so this moment of silence is for Lord of Hosts, our Savior and our Redeemer, and His Creator, Yahweh. Holy, holy is He who sits high and looks low. Faithful and true is He who sits upon the throne. We come praising Thee, O Lord, upon Thy day of visitation, upon Your holy Sabbath day. You, O Lord, foretold of these days, and they are now here upon us, O Lord. Give us, O Lord, guard us, O Lord, and make haste to deliver us from our oppressors. You and You alone is Israel's Savior, and we come with outstretched arms, O Lord. The power and Your glory we know of, Lord, will last forever and ever, according to Your book and Your timeline of events, O Lord. We pray. All power and glory belongeth unto Thee, and we praise Thee at this hour and repent of our transgressions against Thee, O Lord. Forgive, O Lord, forgive us of our transgressions against Thee. All praises unto Thee. Okay, I'm going to read a psalm. I'll read Psalm 38. It's a prayer of patience of heart, and it's a psalm of David. O Lord, rebuke me not in Thy wrath, neither chasten me in Thy hot displeasure. For Thine arrows stick fast in me, and Thy hand press me sore. There is no soundness in my flesh because of Thine anger, neither is there any rest in my bones because of my sin. For mine iniquities are gone over mine head, as a heavy burden, they are too heavy for me. My wounds stink and are corrupt because of my foolishness. I am troubled. I am bowed down greatly. I go mourning all the day long. For my loins are filled with a loathsome disease, and there is no soundness in my flesh. I am feeble and sore broken. I have roared by reason of the disquietness of my heart. Lord, all my desire is before Thee, and my groanings is not hid from Thee. My heart paineth, my strength faileth me, as for a light of mine eyes, it is also gone from me. My lovers and my friends stand aloft from my sword, and my kinsmen stand afar off. They also that seek after my life lay snares for me, and they that seek my heart speak mischief things and imagine deceit all the day long. But I, as a deaf man, heard not, and I was as a dumb man that opened not his mouth. Thus was as a man that heareth not, and whose mouth are, are no reproof. For in Thee, O Lord, do I hope. Thou wilt hear, O Lord my God. For I said, hear me, lest otherwise they should rejoice over me when my foot slippeth. They magnify themselves against me. For I am ready to hope, and my sorrows is continuously before me. For I will declare mine iniquity, and I will be sorry of my sin. For mine enemies are lively, and they are strong, and they that hate me wrongfully are multiplied. They also that render evil for good are mine adversaries, because I follow the things that good is. Forsake me not, O Lord, O my God. Be not far from me. Make haste to help me, O Lord, my salvation. So that was Psalms 38. Anybody got any comments? Okay. Yeah, so I was looking at this. I just noticed this when I was reading it. Uh, if you can recall it, remember Job was Job in the story of Job, he had a sword. And I was telling you that, as far as I'm concerned, Job is suspect. The book is Job is suspect. But Job had a sword. When all his friends came around, he was all, most I had took everything from him. He was, you know, he was laying there with swords all over. So it could be if they got it from right here. It says, verse 11, my lovers and my friends stand aloft. They won't even come around me uh, for my sword. And my kinsmen stand afar off. So he got swords on him. And he's saying that they won't come around him because of that. And he also mentioned it again up here. He says, my wounds, verse 5, my wounds stink and are corrupt because of my foolishness. I am troubled and bowed down greatly, and I go mourning all day long. So it just when I saw it, it just reminded me of Job. Okay. Anybody else got anything on that Psalms 38? Shalom, bro. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go into the current events. Anybody got any current events? Okay.
Hey, Leonard, I really don't have a particular current event, but I wanted to make notice of the solar eclipse tomorrow, and
Right.
later in the week, the asteroid is coming there.
What's
So the
that?
signs are there in the heavens.
Okay.
I said we got the solar eclipse coming tomorrow, and then
Right.
a week later is the asteroid
Okay. Yeah.
coming toward the Earth. Yes.
Right. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think they got some kind of little they're trying to cover it up, downplay it, but I think it's tied to Elon Musk. They're supposed to be sending out some kind of rocket or whatever to try to engage that asteroid, for like a trial run. So as if they know something we don't know, because they want to try to use this as an experiment to see if they can alter the course of the asteroid.
Are they trying to alter the course away from the Earth or toward the Earth?
Well, from what they're saying is they're trying to say that it's just a experiment to see if they can alter the course of the asteroid. From what they
Okay,
say,
yeah.
it's supposed to be, it's they're not really they're downplaying it, but they saying how this with the technology that Elon Musk got and all that, is supposed to be trying to divert the course of this asteroid. Supposedly it's an experiment. And so, like the brother was saying, could it be that they said doing an experiment, but they actually uh, bring the asteroid to the Earth, coming with it. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's I think that's all tied to this asteroid coming. Okay. You see that?
Yes, sir.
The workshop or tennis or gaming, but here's something I bet everyone would want to know more about: Omicron. The single most feared word today, you could say. This Wuhan virus variant has set off alarm bells globally. 10 days ago, only South Africa had reported the variant. Today, more than 30 countries have confirmed cases of Omicron. The list includes the UK, South Africa, Brazil, Australia, Germany, Hong Kong, India, Spain, Canada, the Netherlands. Belgium has reported its first case, as has Austria, also France. This variant is crossing borders very quickly, and here's what we know about it so far. One, Omicron has an increased risk of reinfection, and two, Omicron has a higher number of mutations. That's all the World Health Organization has confirmed so far. So before I proceed, I want to remind you to not panic. While you must stay safe and alert, panicking is uncalled for. Countries around the world are doing what they can to contain Omicron. The United States, for example, plans to ask all international passengers to furnish RT-PCR reports irrespective of their vaccination status. The United States is also planning to extend mask requirements on flights, trains, and public transport till the 18th of March. In another part of the world, South Korea has made vaccine pass mandatory for those visiting cinemas, restaurants, and public spaces. Seoul has also reimposed limits on private gatherings. In Canada, the country's most populous province has lowered the eligibility age for booster shots. Ontario will now give boosters to those who are 50 or above. In India, the Ministry of Health has answered some FAQs. It said that in terms of the precautions, same rules apply as before: masks, vaccination, social distancing, and maintaining good ventilation. This is what you need to do. Now, here's a trend that we have noticed so far. While Omicron is contributing to an exponential rise in cases, there isn't really a significant spike in deaths. Take South Africa, for example. On the 23rd of November, South Africa reported 868 new cases. The next day, over 1,200. 2,500 new cases were reported on the 25th of November, 8,500 cases on the 1st of December, over 11,500 cases on the 2nd of December. The graph, as you can see, is constantly on the rise. Now compare this graph to the one representing daily deaths. On the 23rd of November, South Africa reported 51 deaths. On the 25th of November, 114 deaths. Then 28 deaths on the 1st of December, 44 deaths the next day. As you can see, there is not a clear rise in this graph. Now, while there is a lot of talk about this variant being deadlier than Delta, there is still no scientific evidence to back this claim. While cases are rising steadily, deaths are not. Thank God for that. Does that mean that the Omicron variant is not really all that dangerous? Or does it mean vaccines are breaking the link between infection and death? Well, whatever be the case, the numbers so far are working in our favor, except there is one concern, and that's children. Say it's the vaccines that are preventing deaths, or the combination of vaccines and acquired immunity that's protecting us from severe COVID. What happens to those who have not been vaccinated? Our children, for example.
Any comments?
Shalom.
Okay.
She was saying that it's a frequently higher rate of mutations, and she was saying don't panic. And when they say don't panic, they're trying to actually cause panic.
Right.
And then she said it's a rise in cases in Africa, but not deaths. They can't really justify it being in Africa and the deaths not rising. It just doesn't make sense.
Like that something? Yeah, so it's so more or less like, to me, it's a scare tactic.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a scare tactic to encourage people to take that vaccination.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
And at the same time, too, they trying to curb that flow of people that's leaving here going to Africa, too. Just some. So this video right here is telling about the origins of the word Omicron. I thought that was kind of significant.
ABC's Whit Johnson leading us off tonight outside the Javits Center here in New York as we learn of these new cases, including at least 5 cases here in New York.
Tonight, at least 4 states now reporting cases of the new Omicron variant. New York, late today, reporting 5 new infections.
Literally, there are 5 cases identified today in the state of New York.
And in Colorado, a fully vaccinated woman who was eligible for a booster but hadn't received one.
It is somebody who just traveled to Southern Africa and returned. She is experiencing mild symptoms and is isolated at home.
And in Minnesota, authorities calling a new case there a wake-up call, detecting the variant in a resident who had returned from New York City, where he attended an anime conference the weekend before Thanksgiving at the Javits Center. Officials suspect the man was likely infected at the conference seen here, where the 53,000 attendees were required to have at least 1 vaccine shot and wear masks.
Everyone was vaccinated, though, so I'm not too worried. But
what do we actually know about this new variant?
We actually know very little. All we know is that it's rapidly gaining ground in parts of southern Africa.
Okay, so there's no way that we can actually really compare it to Delta at this time?
No. We still need time to sort that out.
On Wednesday, we received news of a new variant, the so-called Omicron variant, and I want to express my deep gratitude to scientists in South Africa who identified this new variant and shared the information widely and immediately.
As the world waits for the impact of the Omicron coronavirus variant against current vaccines, countries where vaccines are prevalent are losing patience with those who haven't got the jab. Germany, in the midst of a big COVID surge, has just announced it is banning unvaccinated people from all but the most essential businesses. They'll also face contact restrictions in private settings. In South Africa, where Omicron is fast becoming the dominant variant, the Premier of the country's most populous province is urging people to get vaccinated immediately amid what he called a situation of great concern.
We are deeply disappointed by the decision of several countries to prohibit travel from a number of Southern African countries, including our own, following the identification of the Omicron variant.
Omicron.
Yes.
Omicron.
The following is the storyline from Nomad Soul, also known as Omicron.
Drink Quinocola. Energizing drink with radioactive water extract. Quinocola, the drink for today's you. Be cool, be you. Drink Quinocola.
The Nomad Soul is set in a futuristic city known as Omicron, which is a densely populated metropolis on the world of Phanion.
On Wednesday, we received news of a new variant, the so-called Omicron variant.
Omicron exists beneath an enormous crystal dome, which was constructed to protect against the Ice Age that Papillon entered into after its sun's extinction. The city is split into different sectors because it is forbidden for the inhabitants to leave their respective sectors.
We are deeply disappointed the decision of several countries to prohibit travel.
Each area has developed independently, which is reflected by the divergent lifestyles and architecture. At the start of the game, the player is asked by a Omicronian police officer named Kale 669 to leave their dimension and enter Omicron within his body. After doing so, the player continues with the investigation of serial killings that Kale and his partner were originally working on. The player begins the investigation in the Anakbar sector, where they uncover information that suggests the serial killer they're looking for is not human, but actually a demon. Members of the apparent underground anti-government movement contact the player and confirm their suspicions. The investigation deepens and uncovers further information. One of Omicron's chief police commanders, Commandant Kandar, is a demon pretending to be a human and luring human souls into Omicron from other dimensions by the way of nomad soul.
Okay, is anybody get anything out of that? Is anything being triggered?
Shalom.
Okay.
Just some key words. Serial killings. That's what I see being done with the jab, and demons pretending to be human.
Right. And they also
that's some wicked stuff.
Right. They also said Abicon or whatever, the Abicon block, whatever it is. That's another name for Africa too. But the thing what triggered was tripping me out about it is, you know, this Omicron is like in an alternate universe, right?
Right.
Okay, and it's futuristic. Well, look what Google just done. What his name? Zuckerberg. They didn't change the name of to Omniverse. Is that something? It's like some kind of alternate universe that they're dealing with. Something to think about, but that's the name of it is Omicron Nomad Soul Trader. It's the name of it. It's on the Thought Camera Action. The channel is what I got it off of. Let me check it out. Watch the whole thing. Yeah. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay. I got some need to know information. Then we'll go to some Q&A. This is the reason I was saying that they trying to, you know, a lot of this got to do with the flow of people that's leaving here. You're not really talking about that. Well, let's check this out right here. Can you see that? Can y'all see that?
Yeah. Research how the African diaspora can get their citizenship. I found the fact that you can get citizenship to 14 other African countries as well.
All of them in West Africa. All in West Africa.
Why people are not selling this information, I have no idea.
Okay, something going on outside, I guess.
Because I'd buy it. You like you're wondering, how can I get Sierra Leone citizenship via descent? And how can I get it now?
If so, watch this quick clip from African Ancestry about last year's trip, and right after we'll dive into the details.
This is a dream come true for people of African descent. And so it's just an honor to be able to come here, to be able to meet the people of Sierra Leone, the Bende, the Temini, the Limba. These are all groups that our people come from. Thank you so much.
My name's Joe Calhoun. I'm a musician, artist from New York City. It's a pleasure to be here. My father's side of the family is 100% Sierra Leone. So for me, it's a super honor to be here and experience this moment. I already texted my family when the plane hit the ground, and I'm looking forward to spreading the news to all of my friends and family back in the States.
My name is Chazelle Muhammad Mia, and what it means to me to be here is everything. I'm here for my female ancestor who left this country centuries ago and probably never returned. I returned for her again.
So this is what's going on right here. They leaving in record numbers. They're wide awake, but they're not just awake now. They are making moves. You know, they're going to these. They flocking to West Africa. They don't want to be here no more. That's what it's all about, right here.
I'm going to go over what citizenship via descent actually means, all the steps including who's eligible, and I'll list the companies that I suggest you go through to get your citizenship, how soon you can get your citizenship, and everything else I research on this topic. This is part of my Africa travel research series, and it is not sponsored. So you know what to do. I'm a new channel, so please like, comment, and subscribe so the YouTube algorithm will allow more people to see this information. Share it as well if you can. Make sure you stay tuned to the end so I can give you my DNA test recommendations, especially which company I suggest Black people do not use. And like I mentioned, a hack, which I'll show you. I'm going to teach you the hack of all hacks. Everyone in the African diaspora should tune in, even if they do not have Sierra Leone descent, because hopefully this will be applicable in every African country. First, what does citizenship via descent or citizenship via ancestry really mean, and who's eligible? The literal definition of citizenship by descent is the means whereby an individual is eligible to claim citizenship if his, her parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, etc. hail from a given country. The person who is applying for citizenship by descent will have to provide proof of his, her bloodline to the government to qualify. Most of y'all do not need to be reminded about our grisly past. You do not need to be reminded that a lot of us in the African diaspora have a unique situation compared to other countries of why our ancestors left their countries. The transatlantic slave trade interrupted some of our ancestral history. I say some because some Black and melanated people were in other countries or traveled to other countries or left Africa willingly. Sometimes we tend to group all of us with the same past history, which is just not accurate. Because of this unique situation, Sierra Leone has extended automatic citizenship to those who have Sierra Leone ancestry. What kind of automatic? There's a checklist, but we'll go over that in a little bit. By simply.
Okay. So let me get over here. Yeah, that's the African diaspora is, let me get it. Get your Sierra Leone citizenship via descent. So if you want to check it out, the rest of it, But this is, like I said, there's a lot of this stuff that's going on now. It's this, you know, it's happening too fast for them. And they, you know, they're trying to curve it. Any comments? Okay, no comments? Okay,
Shalom.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now go ahead.
I was just gonna say I can see how they are just feeling a connection with the land
Right.
as they should. And I just long to go home.
Right.
I long to feel what real freedom feels like, because this is not freedom where we are.
Right. Exactly. And right, and he's raising a lot of people's spirit, but you know, with that desire, baby. You know, with the information that they've been gathering, they just, you know, it's no way they can stay here. They don't want to be here no more. And that's happened to a lot of Israelites, not just in this country, in Great Britain and all over. It's they trying to curb it, but you know, like I said, it's already started. It was 3 different migrations from Babylon. Yeah. Well, you want to check that out, you can, you know, watch all of it. But so I'm gonna open it up now for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions about anything that they want to talk about before we go into the lesson? Okay, no questions. Let me get this right here. I got a couple of questions, couple of comments. You know, we was talking back a while back, maybe a couple of months ago, about this very thing that's going down now, and how people need to rethink their situation and a location and all that. So, you know, here we go right here. I'm gonna play this. You know. Yeah, hold up. Okay, I'll play this first since I'm already here. Yeah, I was talking to you about this also. How that, you know, the 10 toes is not the 5th beast, it's only 4 beasts. And we've already, the scriptures tell you in Daniel that 4 beasts is going to transform itself, relocate. Esau was the head of it, going to relocate 10 different times. And I was saying America was the 9th transformation of the 4 beasts in China. We witnessing the last and final transformation, which is not going to last that long. And like the lady was saying, Ms. Cabrera, was that when that eclipse came, the one we just passed in November, the end of November, that it was announced the same day that China was the #1 economy in the world. That was announced on that same day. So I'm gonna play this right here. Like I said, we witnessing the 10th and final transformation of the 4 beasts.
Interference has been an evolving threat for some years now. It's been about power for the Chinese party state. China's rise was enormous. They wanted to be able to covertly influence our public debate. This was a get down on your knees and kiss my boots job.
Is this the worst it's been?
It is difficult at the moment. What do you mean by that? They're still hard bullets. They could hurt us very badly. It crushed the Hong Kong democracy. The dynamic has changed.
Their survival is the only thing that really matters to them.
Your family are inside the camps. Do you think they're all alive?
It's genocide.
Australia is in the midst of a diplomatic freeze with China. According to Beijing, the laundry list of grievances and accusations is a long one. We've gone from cooperation to competition. And as the rise of China marches on, so do the threats facing Australia, the Asia Pacific, and the rest of the world.
Madam Speaker, the President of the People's Republic of China.
When President Xi visited Canberra, deals were done and friendships were made.
It was actually what I would consider the golden period of the Australia-China relationship. We were signing the free trade agreement. We were escalating our relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Really, it felt very golden at the time.
It is said that when friends meet, 1,000 cups of wine cannot contain their happiness. This is a happy night, and it's part of a historic day. After 10 long years of negotiation, we have finalised our free trade agreement as a sign of the comprehensive strategic partnership between our two countries.
This historic visit led to a new level of diplomacy between Australia and China. But there was something else going on.
There was something else going on. You could see it to some extent already.
It didn't take long for the trust to dry up and the relationship to unravel.
As far as President Xi is concerned, the era of hiding your strength and biding your time is over.
It's the 100th year of the Communist Party. Never before have so many people risen so far, so fast.
China is quite simply determined to quickly resume what it sees as its rightful position as the world's number one nation.
Supreme Leader Xi Jinping is on a mission to make China the world's greatest superpower.
Challenge for us in the West is to accept that the rise of China is legitimate. We can't stop it anyway. It is going to be the world's biggest economy. The rise of China is good for China and good for the world. China's rise was inevitable, just inevitable.
But it comes at a cost.
Just look at the actions, look at the words. It's pretty obvious that he thinks that China's time has come. And for the rest of us, it's a case of tremble and obey.
In 2012, the Communist Party of China installed an old-school communist as new leader, the ambitious Xi Jinping. Do you think he revels in being feared?
Is it better to be loved or feared as a leader? And Xi Jinping has definitely gone for the feared option, and he's utterly ruthless in that.
The world's second largest economy was powering. It had increased, on average 10% a year for 30 years. With 800 million workers, China quickly became home to the largest companies in the world and the most billionaires. For the Chinese people, life had never been so good.
I think we have to look at China's rise and Australia's participation in a very positive way. Hundreds of millions of people have been lifted out of poverty, many of them in China herself.
But for the new Supreme Leader, China was on the wrong path. The ruling Communist Party had to be hardened up, and the Chinese people had to be reminded the CCP was in power.
Our coal, our gas, our iron ore has helped to bring about a half a billion Chinese from the third world to the middle class in scarcely a generation, which has been a massive advance in human well-being. And let's be glad of that. But for China, I don't think this has ever really been about prosperity for the Chinese people. It's been about power for the Chinese party state.
Yeah, so notice how at the beginning of this, the guy kept on saying it's inevitable. And it was, so in so many words, it was already prophesied. They already knew this was coming. So, and like I said before, when you rightly divide the scriptures, you know, Most High said it ain't nothing that a leaf don't fall from the ground that he don't know nothing about. So what we're looking at got to be in the scriptures. We just got to rightly divide it the right way. And like I said before, China is the 10th incarnation of the fourth beast. You see red all over the place, just like you see red all over Great Britain, the red coats, and you know, every one of these kingdoms that came forth from the four beasts, dealing with red. The Most High asked the question, why is thou red in thy apparel? You're looking right at it. See in the comments. So that was China's Rising. You want to watch it, Tremble and Obey. I think it's something like 28 minutes. You know, yeah, so.
Hey, Leonard, I did read a article today that Russia is building up its troops along the Ukraine border.
Right.
So that is also going on.
Right. Well, Russia ain't nothing but China's little brother. China, right. It's a 1-2 punch. They collapsed in America.
It seems to be the case that they are.
Exactly. And like I said, in Second Ezra, when you go read it, it says that it's 3 heads at the very end, was left for the end. He said these 3 heads are going to bring the eagle's time to an end. So Esau, Russia, and China. Like I said, the objective is when you understand the bigger picture. Esau is behind China and Russia, just like they're behind America rising, and their objective is to rule the world for 1,000 years from Jerusalem. So then they're using Russia and China to collapse America. Yeah. These are Illuminati bankers. They got all the money. House of Rothschild. Any more comments? I'm gonna play this brother right here. He got some solutions that people that we can consider as Israelites. Any comment? Okay.
Tapping back in as promised. All praise to the Most High. Going to touch on the current state of affairs, spiritually and politically in the world, and humbly offer some solutions to brothers and sisters that at your will, at your discretion, that you can do research on, or if the Most High compels you to do so, that you can implement some of these solutions in your life to navigate through the times that are in front of us. First thing I want to touch on about the current state of affairs is the super inflation of the global economies. In this current time and moving on into the future, we are going to witness inflation at a historic and epic level. The price of goods and services, the price of cargo shipments, the price of value to many different products in every sector is going to skyrocket. We are in a period of great inflation. What used to cost $5 at the grocery store now costs $8.59. That same product 2-3 months from now may go from $8.59 to $14.60. This is as a result of the continuous printing of fiat currency by the governments of the world, not just the United States. But even in the midst of this money printing, there are scrambles for new resources, new emerging opportunities, and new emerging economies. But with this high inflation, here's a solution that I want to present to brothers and sisters. And it's called combined housing and combined income. Combined housing and combined income. There are many brothers and sisters out there that they may not be able to get the acres of land. We have to be realistic and understand that for some, they're just not able to do that. For those of you who can, that is still a great idea. But for those who can't, here's a solution. Combined housing, combined income. This means that when you have multiple families in one home, be it an apartment or a house, and you combine the multiple incomes of the multiple families in that home, that is one way for you and yours to hedge against the high inflation. Because you are pooling multiple income streams and you have multiple manpower in the house. This is something that I implemented earlier this year. I have aunts, uncles, and cousins, and one of my sisters is going to be moving here as well. And all of these individuals are in my household. Multiple families, multiple people in one household. And we're combining income, combining housing. So whereas all these individuals had their own rent, had their own things to take care of, and in some cases it created a financial burden for them, in some cases it didn't. But with all of them coming into my household and us living together, yes, maybe quite a few people. Yes, sometimes it can get annoying, but it has severely reduced any financial pressure at all because there's multiple incomes in the home. So if someone has trouble on the job, they don't feel pressure to stay in a situation that's not suitable to them or that they hate because they know they have multiple family at home that can help sustain them until they get another opportunity to get on their feet. So because I have that combined housing, combined income set up in scenario, it's been a great hedge of inflation for us. Now we don't have to do a lot of counting whenever we grocery shop. We don't have to go in the grocery store, sweating like, oh man, I can't spend this much. Because combined housing, combined income, all of us are lifting each other up. That's the greatest hedge of inflation that you can have right now. Be you middle class, be you upper class, whatever the case. And this was always the way of our people. Whenever you study the lives of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they had their plots of land, and all of their immediate family that was righteous was living right there with them on the land, in the home. Everybody may have had their separate dorm or their separate room, but our people have always practiced combined housing and combined income. That's why when we came into Egypt as 70 souls, Joseph set all that up for our ancestors. That's how we became mighty in Egypt, because Joseph practiced combined income and combined housing. He set up an area for all of his family in Goshen where all of us was together. So in these times, it may be best for some brothers and sisters to put aside your pride. If there's other brothers and sisters, maybe those of natural family or those in the household of faith that you have had petty issues with that can keep y'all from living together and functioning together, because of the inflation and because of people being impoverished all across the board because of the price spikes, it is in some of your best interest to combine housing and to combine income. The Asians, the Mexicans, all these folks have practiced this for the longest. And that's why in every city that you go to, as funny as it may be, where people crack jokes on all the Mexicans packed up in the car and all that, and all the Asians living in one house and all that, that's funny until inflation hits and you on your own and it's just you in the household and you got to spend $1,200 on groceries, and that's before rent is even paid because of inflation. So I'm telling you, it's time for some brothers and sisters to put the pride aside. It's time for some people out there who have been lone wolves and loners and feel like they're above and don't want to deal with people. Please, I humbly ask you, keep in mind the solution of combined housing and combined income. Even if you're in a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, or you could be in an 18-bedroom, 23-bath mansion for all I care. Be you middle class, be you upper class, combined housing and combined income is going to be what gets a lot of families through the high inflation that is currently happening now and will happen in the future. There's ways that you can list multiple people on your lease. There's ways that the landlord or whoever, it's not their business who's over there living with you. There's ways around some of the limitations that these real estate companies and landlords place on the amount of people that can be in your home. There's ways around it. There's always a loophole, Israel. Be ye wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Work the loopholes of the system. So that's the first solution I want to present to you for you to overcome the high inflation crisis. Whenever you combine houses and combine income and have multiple families, I'm not just talking about any random Negroes living with you that don't know how to keep jobs and they just a drag and a drain. No, I'm not talking about you living and combining with wicked folks who are only going to bring sin and unclean spirits into the camp. No, I'm not talking about combining with some of your wicked family members who are opposing the Most High and will bring nothing but lack of peace in the household. No, I'm talking about you combining houses and income with either natural family who gets it, who understands, and who will not be a detriment to your progress in the household, and who will work and be a source of income and bring something to the table, or brothers and sisters of the faith who also worship the Most High in spirit and in truth and keep the commands, who will also be an addition. I'm not talking to Negroes that just say Shalom, Ak, and Hallelujah, but some of these niggas have not had a job since the Knicks have been to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's a long damn time. I'm not talking about them fake-ass Hebrews. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about true, set-apart, hard-working, functioning in society, righteous, Holy Spirit-filled Hebrews, or common sense, wise, understanding, natural family members who get it and who will add value in a situation of combined housing and combined income. That is a solution for you in these times with the high inflation rates. Keep that in mind. That's one solution against the high inflation. Here's another solution. And I know this is something that I've spoke on for years and years, but it has always proved true. And I had many brothers and sisters reach out to me during the pandemic saying, thank you, Brother L, for always teaching about the importance of having home business, home fellowship, home schooling. Because when they locked the world down and told everybody to stay home, because I already had a home business, I was not worried about not being able to have another stream of income. Because I worked from home remotely, I was not worried about being locked out and not being able to go to the workplace. These are things that I thank the Father, He had me speaking to you, brothers and sisters, long before all these changes in society. And those who were listening are in a good space right now. So still, even to this day, having a home business family will sustain you in these times, because there are products that you can sell that are hedges against inflation. Survival prepper products is a good business to start right now. You can drop ship or sell survivalist prepper products because people are looking for products. So if you start a home online business of selling prepper survivalist products, not only will you have the inventory because you sell it, but your product will fly off the shelf, because in these times, people are looking for ways to sustain themselves, to be able to live off grid, to be able to have natural water sources. So if you don't know what else to do, Go to Shopify, go to Etsy, and sell survivalist prepper products. You'll thank me if you do this. You'll thank me if you do this. Because when I made the move in the middle of the pandemic to start a CMOS business, a health and wellness business, that business is still feeding me and my family to this day. Keep these things in mind, family. Even during this time of great inflation, there's great opportunity. Either in you having a home business, working remotely, selling products that are inflation proof, selling things to people that they will need even during inflation or even during tribulation, that will help you in these times. All right? So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about the state of affairs, was the high inflation, the shipping issues, the impending issues with the shutdown of the grid and blackouts. Make sure that you have generators in your home. The generators that you can charge up while the electric grid is up, or the generators that take gas and fuel. Get you a generator. If you can't get the 20,000, 50,000 watt, get you a 2,000 watt generator to hedge against the blackout that eventually will come. I'm not Negrodamus. I don't know when it will happen, but I know one day there will be a blackout of the electric grid. So stock up on those supplies, the dry foods. Stock up on those supplies, the heated blankets. Stock up on winter survival preparedness objects. A good.
Okay. Anybody get anything out of that? It's Solutions in the State of Affairs. Name of it. It's 30 minutes, so you want to watch all that. But it's ringing loud now. It sounds like a trumpet because you're looking at what's going on. Yeah. So, any comments? Okay. All right. So, I'm gonna go into the lesson. Okay. Like I said, I was gonna read out of this book right here. Let me show it to you. You might want to get it. Here it is. Can you see that? Can y'all see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, it's this is like I said, when you understand what Jew is and how you get a Jew. The Jews are not Israelites. And I was telling you how Israel left in 143 BC. When Antioch Epiphanes, the Antichrist already came. So the Israelites left in 143 BC, went to the west coast of Africa, and they dwelled there until the transatlantic slave trade came. Prophecy caught up with them. Just like catching up with the Israelites, catching up with the Europeans right now, Gentiles. So, and then Esau came in and stole land in the book of Obadiah. That's who the Jews are. So the Jews was dwelling in Israel from 143 BC, and they were ran out in 70 AD. The Israelites left in 143, went to the west coast of Africa. That's the Israelites, these Jews. But what these Jews have done is stole our history. I'm gonna show you that right here. So I showed you in Daniel that, it tells you Daniel 9:25 that a proclamation was made to go back and rebuild Jerusalem, and then he said the Messiah. And they've been telling us for ever and a day that Messiah was Jesus Christ. So I'm gonna read this right here. And I'm reading the introduction out of this history of the Jews from the destruction of Jerusalem to the present time. It says the Jews having remained in the captivity 70 years. See, these Israelites, but they saying Jews. It says the Jews having remained in captivity 70 years, according to the prediction of the prophet Jeremiah, were restored to their native country by Cyrus the Great, king of Persia. For this purpose, he issued a decree. Now this is the commandment right here, decree in Daniel 9:25. In the first year of his reign, by which they were permitted to return to Palestine to rebuild their city and temple. This opportunity was joyfully embraced by most of the zealots of the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. A large part of the Jewish captives who chose to remain in Babylon made literal contributions toward assisting their brethren. So that's why I wanted to shine a light on, because we see it's nothing new under the sun. So he says right here, a large part of the Jewish captives who chose to remain in Babylon. See that? Nobody talks about that. So they choose to remain in Babylon. So let's look at what Cyrus said when he made the proclamation. Daniel. This way, a lot of people not understanding. It's the same thing going on right now. Everybody ain't leaving. So I'm in the book of Daniel. Ezra. Let me get it. Ezra. And this is what he said. This is what Cyrus said. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation. Same thing over there. They said decree throughout all his kingdom, and he put it in writing, saying, "Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven, and given me all the kingdoms of the earth. You have charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judea. Who is there among you of all this people? His God be with him. Let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judea, and build the house of the Lord God of Israel. He is the God which is in Jerusalem. And whosoever," see that? That means that all of them may go. Whoever want to go. Whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourns. See that? Whoever stay where he wanted to stay there. Let the men of his place help him with silver and gold. So the ones that's going to stay, help the ones that's going to leave with silver and gold. There it is right there in our face. We've been reading over. So it says right here, I'm back over here in this book. And it says, okay, excuse me. It says, a large part of the Jewish captives who chose to remain in Babylon, made literal contributions toward assisting their brother. Soon after the return of the Jews, they began to accurately and zealously to rebuild their altar and lay the foundation of their temple. While they were engaged in this important understanding, the Samaritans expressed an earnest desire to assist in the completion of the building, but as they blended the worship of their false deities, see that? But as they blended the worship of their false deities with that of the God of Israel, the Jews rejected their request, aligning that as the decree of the Persian monarch, Cyrus, extended only to the house of Israel. They could not admit them to participate in the work. So let's look at that. Like I said, this stuff been going over a lot of people's heads. So he just said that the Samaritans came. Let's go back to JC. JC dealing with Samaritans. I want to show you who the Samaritans are. I'm in 2 Kings. 2 Kings. Make sure I'm in the right place. Yeah, 2 Kings chapter 17. I'm in chapter 24. Verse 24. And it says, we're going to start at 21, 22. For the children of Israel the 10 tribes. Children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he had did, and they departed not from them until the Lord removed Israel, the 10 tribes, Israel, the 10 tribes, out of his sight. And as he had said by all his servants, prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their land to Assyria until this day. So the 10 tribes, the Israelites, was taken out. Now look what he does in verse 24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, Kukut, Alva, Hamath, and he brought Gentiles and heathens and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria. See that? Samaritans. These Samaritans. They ain't no Israelites. It's what so many people get fumbling with. That's why they latch on to JC. So these people they brought there, King of Syria brought there and put in the land of Israel in the state of 10 tribes in Assyria. And these people is there. So let's look at what happened. So and it says in Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof, then this is what happened. So this land right here was this Lord of hosts dwell there. So he don't deal with heathens. So it said 25. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling that they feared not the Lord. So they don't fear the Lord of hosts. They don't have no understanding who he is. None of that. So therefore the Lord, Michael, the Lord of hosts, sent lions among them, which slew some of them. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nation in which thou hast removed, these Israelites, and placed in the cities of Samaria, know not the manner of the God of the land. That's the Lord of hosts. Therefore he, the Lord of hosts, sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them because they know not the manner of the God of the land. So look at this, 27. Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry thither one of the priests, go get a Levite from Assyria, whom you brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there, and let them teach them the manner of the God of Israel. Then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel and taught them. See that? These heathens, that this Israelite came and taught them our culture, right? So he says, and taught them how they should fear the Lord. Howbeit every nation. So he taught them our culture, but instead they received what he taught them. But 29 said, excuse me, howbeit every nation made gods of their own. They dealing with, they know who Lord of hosts is, and they know who's sending the lines and all that, but they make gods of their own and put them in their houses or the high places which the Samaritans had made. See that? There go the Samaritans. Every nation in their city wherein they dwell. And men of Babylon made, so he's telling you, all these different nations he brought there, they brought their gods too. So it says right here that they feared the Lord, they feared the Lord of hosts, and they served their own gods. See that? They feared the Lord of hosts, and they served their own gods after the manner of the nations whom they carried away from thence. So same thing going on now. You got the Pope and all them. They serving their God. They fear Lord, but they doing their own thing. So now let's go back with what they saying over here. I just read out of King James. So he telling you right here, he says, soon after the return of the Israelites, they begin to accurately and zealously rebuild their altar and lay the foundation of their temple. And say, while they were engaged in this, important understanding, the Samaritans, now we know what they are. I just told you they were. The Samaritans expressed an earnest desire to assist in the completion of the building. But as they blended the worship, see that? That's what the New Testament is. As they blended the worship, that's why the clowns in the New Testament, so much drama going on all through there, because them ain't Israelites. That's why they keep giving Rome so much hell. Right? So it says, but as they blended the worship of their false deities, see that? With that of the God of Israel. We just read that. And the Jews, the real Israelites, when they came back, rejected their request, alleging that as the decree of the Persian monarch extended only to the house of Israel, they could not admit them to participate in their work. This refusal gave rise to the implacable enmity which subsisted between the Samaritans and the Israelites, and it induced the former to exert themselves to obstruct the building of the temple. So we see right here, this is where we trying to figure out where all this hatred coming from. Right here. Like I said, you got these 10 tribes that nobody don't even know who the hell they are. They ain't even Israelites. Like I showed you, when Cyrus came, The 10 tribes is in Assyria. And we know that Cyrus took over from Nebuchadnezzar. Well, Nebuchadnezzar had Assyria under his control. That's what the 10 tribes is. So when Cyrus took over, he got the 10 tribes right there with him in one of the provinces, the Syrian province. And he just told them, all of y'all that want to go back, you go back. But they didn't lie to us. So anyway, he says, and induced the former to exert themselves to obstruct the building of the temple. In consequence to their malice attempts, the erection of the sacred edifice was suspended, cut off, till Darius issued an edict, which not only ratified the grants of Cyrus, but denounced a severe penalty against all who obstructed the work. See where the hatred coming in at? They just got spurned over here. They wanted to help Israel, Zerubbabel and them build a temple, and they told them, you can't help us. Now Cyrus came back and sent an edict out and told them, if you come in and bother them, then I'm gonna knock you out. So this is where the hatred building up to what happened to the transatlantic slave trade. So it said a severe penalty against all who obstructed the work. When this important decree was communicated to the Jews, they rapidly proceeded in building, which was finished in the 6th year of Darius, and the dedication performed in the month Adar with all the imaginable splendor and solemnity, whatever that word is. Okay, that was in BC 349. So the history of the Old Testament closes with an account of the restoration of the Israelites to Palestine and the building of their city and temple under Ezra the priest and Nehemiah the governor and Macedonians laborers of these pious and eminent men to reform the abuses of the Jewish state and the church, to enforce the observance of the Mosaic law and restore divine worship to its original purity, are recorded in the books of Ezra and Nehemiah. So we see how important Ezra and Nehemiah is, and that's why Ezra and Nehemiah is out of place as far as chronology of the Old Testament. They took all that out of place because they didn't took the story and the sequence of events that happened with Zerubbabel. It says, it appears from the sacred records that the Israelites, after their return from captivity, were in feeble state under the first Persian monarch. They were exposed to the envy and malice of those strangers who existed in the vicinity, in particular to the insults and calamities of the Samaritans. And also, it is also evident from the cruel edicts which Haman obtained against them, for which they were saved by the powerful intercession of Queen Esther, but they were in danger of being destroyed upon the least intimidation of the king's pleasure by decrees. However, their affairs were established, and though they were subjugated to an easy tribute, they lived under their own laws in the form of a commonwealth governed by the high priest and the council of 72 elders, and exercised among themselves the power of life and death. Jerusalem being at length rebuilt, fortified, and repeopled, began to resume some appearances of its former splendor, and the temple was honored by the offerings of the strangers. After the death of Nehemiah, the government of Judah appears to have been joined to the prefecture of Syria, from which the high priests received their authority. The circumstances induced many persons to aspire to the high priest's office merely through ambitions and sacrifice, which were destitute of the zeal of the religion for the love of their country, for the whole century, and the office of the high priest being the chief office of men's ambitions, the violent contest for the sacrificial deity and the arbitrary conduct of those who obtained it involved the Jewish nation in various calamities. So, like I was telling you before, when you know, some people can't read that because they thinking that them Israelites. But when you understand who a Jew is and what Israelite is, you see that's where the drama came in, and that's how you get those That's how you get the Pharisees, Sadducees, and the Essenes. Them all Edomites. Them all Edomites. That's why there's so much drama going on, because of those people are the same way the Most High did with that 200 angels. Once they crossed over and sinned and lost and left their first estate, he put a spirit on them to where they became perverted to the nth degree. Same right here, these Edomites. Even to the day. You see how horrendous this transatlantic slave trade was. They perverted. Most I got a spirit on them. Okay, so any comments?
Well, hey, well.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Hey, that sound like the same thing. I mean, 1948. It don't sound like no different what they did back
Yeah,
in
right.
Second Kings. Yeah.
Right. They told him that in Malachi that even though you kick us out of here, we're gonna come back. And they came back in 1948. So we in the same thing going on again. They in the land posing as Israelites, and we in captivity. Same thing going on is repeating itself. And so, like I said, who knows that though? That person don't understand it or know that. Yeah. Anybody else got any comments or questions about anything?
Hey,
Shalom.
Leonard.
Oh, go ahead.
No, Sister Cynthia, go right ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say they feared our God, yet they serve their own gods
Exactly.
because he's our Redeemer. I
Right.
mean, we're his. We're the only one that even has a God.
Right. He's not gonna even accept them anyway. Just like
Right.
when Cain came up on the altar. He sent Cain away. He accepted Abel's offering, but he sent Cain away because Cain ain't none of Adam's son. Same right here. I just read it. They wanted to help them build a temple, but Nehemiah and them Ezra and them told them, you can't help us build a temple. You ain't got nothing to do with you. So that built a resentment up in them, a hatred. What you saying, Andre?
I'm trying to connect the dots on something. You mentioned Haman and Esther.
Right.
Haman, he's a descendant of the Amalekites, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So
that explains his hatred of Israel.
Right.
Because of what the Lord of hosts had Moses and Joshua to do to the Amalekites
Right,
before they came into the land.
Haman a direct descendant from Agag. Yeah,
Right.
Agag. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what it is they went to that story. What happened was Agag when Samuel Saul went and killed all the Amalekites, he kept Agag and his wife. And Agag's wife was with child. And so that night his wife stole away and got in one of those caravans, and she ended up over in Persia. That's where Haman come from. So Haman knew that the Israelites had murdered all his people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. She raised him up and fed that hatred in him the whole time.
Right. And that's why he had that hatred. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they took that out. It's in the Apocryphal books, but it's not in the King James. They took that part out because it tells you Haman the Agag. So that means Agag.
Right. Yeah. I kind of traced that back once before, and it tied them to the Amalekites.
Right. Yeah. Agag was king over the Amalekites.
King of the Amalekites. Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And notice he had 12 sons too. Haman did.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So that's where that's coming from. And so, like I was saying before, the Amalekite is the same as Judah is to Israel. You know, he's the chosen seed line, chosen tribe.
The Amalekites?
Yeah, the Amalekites is the Esau house as Judah is the Israel house.
Oh, okay. I see what you got you. Okay. I follow now. I follow.
Okay.
Yeah, it just seems you kind of start to see why all of these nations have this perpetual hatred toward us.
Exactly.
And toward our forefathers.
Right. And then you come to find out they all in possessed the land at one time.
Right.
We just been reading over it. Their whole thing was they were jealous for the land, and the reason they were jealous for it was because of our God was there. That's what the Most High divided up the land. That's the part He gave him. And that's why they wanted it. That's why Esau. That's why Canaan stole it. Way back when they sent Canaan to the, when Canaan stole it from Shem. That's how Abraham got displaced down in Ur of the Chaldeans.
Right, because we was kind of going over that last Friday on the Shabbat, where we was reading in the book of Jubilees, where the west coast of Africa was really allotted to Canaan, but he never made it over there. He settled in the land of Shem, right there in the Middle East. There, he robbed that land.
Yeah, he stole it. That's what caused it. Shem and all his descendants, they came from out of the land from Ur of the Chaldeans, and that's why the Lord of Hosts, being who He is, was bringing them back to their land. When he brought Abraham back to his forefathers' land, and then they ended up in Egypt, and then He had to go get them and bring them back to the land that He had gave to Abraham. Is that something?
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anybody else got anything? Okay, so I'm gonna close out right here. I'm gonna say shalom to everybody, and I'll see y'all in the morning at 9 o'clock for the Sabbath class. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Okay.
Shalom.
Shalom.